Good evening, I'm Moran Julian. We are here at the Foscari Film Festival with Ayat Najafi, a member of the international jury. So thank you for being here, Mr. Najafi. So let's start with a few questions. Speaking of your short film, Nothing Has Ever Happened Here, why did you decide to portray a war in Iran that has never taken place?
It has many reasons, of course, but back then in 2012, when I started with this film, the shadow of the war was very, very heavy, so it was a possibility of a war, and then like everywhere they're talking about it. And then I was in the United States listening to the presidential debate between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, and then they kept saying that if necessary, we're going to attack. And then I said, yeah, look, the war with Iran is already happening. It's, if not, in fact, but it happens in the words. And it's really like, it's a performative war already. I mean, sanctions are also act of war. So anyway, it was already this situation of the war. And then I said, okay, let me imagine the worst case scenario. And then I used the nuclear war because it also has two reasons. I mean, the first reason is the whole idea was that probably Iran making a secret nuclear weapon, so we have to prevent that. Yeah. But then, on the other hand, and ironically, they said the only way we can get rid of those facilities is to nuke Iran, because they are built under the, underground. And so I came the idea to make it.
So who is your main target of this film? The politician, or just everybody, or what?
It's more than that. For me, is this military mentality that is basically lead the world, and we are not really talking about it. So we are talking about the lack of democracy in Iran, which is true.
Yeah.
We are talking the lack of human rights, which is also true. But when we are talking about the lack of human rights, the sanctions also cause disaster, and it's also human rights violation. Why we are not approaching that? And then those people who basically want to bring democracy in Iran, do they really care about democracy?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the partners in the region. So it's basically a joke. It's just this military industry, this military mentality that leads the war, and it's very scary since ever we have these non-stop wars.
Okay. And while working as a film director, you kept your interest in theater. And can you please explain, of course, from your point of view, which are both the strengths and the weaknesses of cinema over the theater?
So basically, I'm vice versa. I'm a theater director. I mean, I'm an educated theater director who was interested in cinema, basically. Okay. So it's. But yeah, at the moment I'm more active in cinema for many reasons, but I still see myself as an originally theater director. Okay. I think both of them there are two different languages, there are two different mediums.
Of course, yeah.
Of course, when it comes to storytelling and to performativity, we can find some common grounds, but in fact there are two different love I have in my life. And in theater, we have this possibility of live action and live encounter with our audience, which is a gift that cinema would never reach. And then in cinema, we have this possibility to speak to a very huge range of audience worldwide. And I mean, theater can never compete with that.
Yeah, okay. So in your film, Football Undercover and No Land Song, there's a strong relationship with the revolution of 1979, yeah? And do you feel that this theme is relevant for the Iranian artist even after 40 years?
Yes, I mean, I cannot talk for Iranian artists as one body. I can talk about myself. Okay. And for me, it's very relevant because, and there has two reasons. First, the Iranian government, the current government, which is basically the children of that revolution, is trying to rewrite the Iranian history. As if nothing happened before, or whatever happened before was a devil. So this is basically a ground zero for them, which is basically very difficult, because I mean you have a long history, and also many people were victim of that decision that we want to get rid of whatever before, from the execution to the censorship to the people who had to leave Iran. But then on the other hand, you also have a world outside which didn't really recognize that revolution and put so much pressure on the Iranian people. So you, as growing up in post-revolution Iran, you have a feeling that two people kickboxing you. One the government, and then the other one is the world outside. Yes. So that's why this topic is so present for me in the everyday life.
Okay, so I have one more question for you. So you have lived in Berlin for several years. Why do you decide to move to this city? Maybe.
I don't know. I think Berlin as a city chose me rather than I chose it.
Okay.
So it was, but to be more practical, it was a time that I was looking for more international experience.
Okay.
And I don't live in a place. I really don't believe that you have an address, and my address is in Berlin, of course, because it's easier to be connected to the world. It's easier to work without censorship. It's easier to think freely and also to move freely in the world. So that's basically the main reason that I thought I need more freedom of expression and also more freedom of movement. So I decided to go, and then Berlin happened to be the right choice.
Can you please highlight the main differences between the European and the Iranian context in cinema?
Again, a very difficult question, because we don't have one Iranian cinema, we don't have one European cinema. You know?
Okay.
So it is really is a matter of which Iranian cinema we are talking, which European cinema we are talking. You know, and I see cinema as a common language. It's like music. You know, it's like I basically don't. I can speak about the differences between Kiarostami and Roberto Benigni, for example.
Yes.
That's something I can do, but I don't consider Benigni Italian cinema or European cinema, and I don't consider Kiarostami Iranian cinema. I think they are two geniuses in two different contexts, and they managed to speak their own voices. So I don't put these categories, and I don't really know if I'm an Iranian filmmaker or a German filmmaker. You know, I think I try to be myself.
Of course. Okay, so thank you for being with us, and that's it.
Thank you.